משובבה מעל העיר חושבת על הגובה פוחדת מריחוף מתקשה לחשוב עכשיו כי למטה המנון מכה בגוף.
All right, so our next guest is a highly accomplished composer, singer, songwriter, and overall very nice woman that we've just been chatting and almost kept chatting before we knew we were back on camera. Anyway, she spent 2 decades in the U.S. introducing classical music to children, and now she's back in Israel bringing her gifts to her hometown audience. Please welcome Ayala Asherov. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So we were just saying that, you have quite an experienced repertoire of, musical experience and education from the Berkeley School, and then living in the South. What was it like being an Israeli living in Charleston, South Carolina?
It's a really good question. It's almost like an oxymoron, It's very different. First of all, you're...
But there are Israelis everywhere in the world.
There are. But the nice thing was to learn. It was like an anthropology, anthropological experience. But it was great. I mean, I really tried to turn every stone when it came to music. You see here, I collaborated with Mark Bryan. Mark Bryan is Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, if it's interesting because when we were working together, I said, Mark, why do you think you were so successful? Because they were very successful. He said, it just happened, blah, blah, blah. I said, you were the first group that their soloist was African-American, and they were white. And I think for the early 90s, it was very...
It's funny because I was working at CNN out of college in the early 90s, and when you were in Charleston, I remember taking a road trip to Charleston, listening to Hootie and the Blowfish.
They're still hot.
I remember it.
They're still hot. I mean, to do an album with him was a big deal. You come 100%. Here and it's like, oh, whatever. But there it was...
And he's like a professional golfer almost, and he now sings like gospel, right?
No, gospel is the
Not
drummer.
Gospel, but
the good-looking guy.
But Hootie.
But he does country.
Country.
And he's African-American singing country. So I'm glad we're talking about me.
So, okay, your experience, tell us kind of your love for working with children and school-age kids.
Oh, that was very interesting because my background was film scoring and writing film, and there's no industry in South Carolina. I mean, so I was thinking, okay, what can I do? Start working with classical musicians. And I saw that in schools, they're not as developed like in Israel. There's a lot of programming in schools and to teach classical music. So I decided as a composer, I'll just go there with the idea of programmatic music, film music, and talk to them what film, how they see a film without music, how it's changed and everything. But then I took their stories and I composed them.
Wow,
and
beautiful.
It was, and we went to very underprivileged schools, and even Charleston, it sounds very glamorous, but they have very, very poor areas. American overall can have very poor areas.
Yeah.
And I took classical musicians from the orchestra, from Charleston Symphony, and they played, and there was always like a performance. It was great experience.
What a great experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, you came back to Israel. It keeps pulling you back in. And did you come here because you're always Israeli?
I'm always Israeli. And also I wrote a very famous song many years ago. It's called Leorech Hayam that Ofra Chaza sang.
Wow.
And I said in one of my songs that my song pulled me here because it's so known, and all of a sudden it stayed sort of without a mother and a father because Ofra is no longer with us, and it pulled me in really, and singing in Hebrew. And so 10 months ago we moved, and it's not really it's not easy.
It's readjustment. It's an adjustment.
It is.
You're no
So in March I started my own performance with my songs and the story of why I came back.
Amazing. All right, can you give us a quick acapella? No pressure.
Oh, every time I'll sing the song you saw. Okay. Every time I see a plane high up in the sky, I remember who I am and how I love to fly. Doesn't matter where I go, it doesn't matter why, but I haven't yet to find a place that really caught my eye.
Beautiful. I know it's kind of hard to do it on the spot, just like that.
No, but I practice.
And you also are working on a new album?
I'm working on a new album with Gilad Efrat, who's with me here in this show. We have a show, if you're in Israel, September 8th at Bet HaYotzer, and we're having a great time. It's really
So you're happy to be back. Things are you missing the
very
States?
Much.
Well, the food. I don't know, but you're Israeli. I miss like,
the food.
I miss my Mexican
You know what?
food, my Italian food.
I tell you what it is. It's the strength of the AC.
Yeah, that too.
You agree?
That too. Because it's pretty hot and humid in Charleston.
It is. But when you enter a place, it's cold.
But it's too cold. It's too cold. That's the issue. You end up getting a cold in the summer. It's so strange. Thank you so much for coming in. It was really you too. You're adorable. Come back.
Okay.
And thank you all for watching. Tomorrow.